Hello, and welcome to This Is Us, where we have a conversation and express our views on different topics. Before we start, I am going to throw it out there. Just before we came live on air, we have a song that's been ringing in our heads all day. And Mr. Fireshare, Tyler, brought it up this evening. So we're literally going to start by singing it. So those of you that know it, join in. And I think it's the one that goes, party starter. Hey, party starter. Tyler, where are you?
Okay,
Party
the party
starter.
scatter.
Hey,
Come on.
It's a big tune.
The party scatter.
Hey,
Never heard it in my
I
life.
love that young man.
come on.
Fireboy DML, I love him. I love him. Yeah.
Never
I love
heard of
him.
him.
Oh, go
Oh.
search. Google it.
No, that song's been ringing in my head all day. Okay, sorry guys. So if you've not already subscribed to this channel, please do just subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and also like. Okay, I'm your host Dee, and let me introduce you to our panelists. So we have Tyler. Hi,
Stop
Tyler.
people.
We have we have G. Hello, G.
Hi.
And we also have Jude. Hi, Jude.
Hi guys. Hi guys.
I'm sure you're all, or you've all been looking at our screen thinking, today's topic is about family. It's about my parents, my upbringing, so our parents and our upbringing. So we'll be going back in time and having a discussion about our parents and how they brought us all up. I'm going to start with myself. So I'm going to talk about the structure of my family. I lived in Nigeria. We've all got a Nigerian heritage. I lived in Nigeria early on in my life till my parents uprooted us. I think that was in the early 90s.
Okay.
They uprooted us here to the UK, here to London.
Okay.
Yes, they moved us all up. First, my sisters, my two sisters came first.
So some people
and
will say
then my
relocate.
mum came with me and my brother, and then my dad joined us later.
I'm so sorry.
I say uprooted because they carried us and said, "Oh yeah, you people, you are going."
Oh yeah,
Carried us
let's
and said, "You
move.
are going."
We
So,
they leave now.
Uprooted. Oh yeah, we are going. Yes, yes. So they did uproot us and moved us here to the UK. I will talk about this further as we go into the topic, but at the moment we're just going to start with the structure of our family. So for me, it was lived in Nigeria, uprooted or relocated here to the UK. And I've been here ever since. My dad joined us about a year later after we relocated. So my mum was with us for about a year on her own. And my mum was very strict, but I will go into details later as well. But I'm just going to hand it over to Jude. Jude, what was the
Oh
structure
boy.
of your family like? What was that like?
Okay. Structure of my family. It was a barrack. Yeah, kind of a military barrack. In the sense, yeah. I think up to when I was 6 years old, I grew up with my mom, my dad, and four other siblings, my younger brothers and sisters. In the northern part of Nigeria, my dad was one of those, I don't know what you call it, one of those top level government people. He was into research and stuff. I can't remember a lot now. And when I was 6, I think dad and mom broke up, and mom took us to Benin. So me and my 4 siblings, and we came home to mom's dad's yard in Benin, Benin City. And there was I realized I had 3 other brothers. So now we're 8 with mom alone, and what people will now call single mom. Yeah, so it was just that sort of household. It was sort of house where you have I don't know how you call it, where you have the face me, I face you kind of rooms.
Yeah.
You know what that means? Yeah, the rooms built opposite. So it was that sort of environment that I grew up where I didn't have a room to myself, so I slept on benches. Yeah, tiny. When we made benches, I don't mean the benches you see in the parks here in England. I mean proper tiny benches. Our benches are different. They're very tiny. Up to this, my bed right now, man. I made it a point to go buy a super king size bed, but still, I sleep on this side of the bed, and I don't move. I don't move. I don't move. I don't move on the edge. Yeah, I don't move because I still remember from
You're
back
so
home.
used
Because
to it.
yeah, because if you moved while you're sleeping on the
You
benches,
fall
then
off.
you will be on the floor. So most times though, I slept on the floor, but later we
So
upgraded
you've
to benches.
got yourself accustomed to just sleeping in a.
Yeah. So
You've got yourself accustomed to sort of, no matter the size of the bed, you sort of just.
Yes. I still do that. And not just that, I do that on London buses as well. I find myself, I've got the whole seats to myself and I'm squatting. And I then remind myself, stop. You're alone here. And I then say, yeah, let me take it in. But that's the structure of my home. That was how it was then. Yeah.
Okay, so you said, actually, we'll come back to that in regards to, so you said your parents split when you were 6 and you moved to Benin. And so you were raised by your mum.
Yeah, by my mother.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so you were raised by your mum.
Yeah.
At any point, did you have, or who made up the father role in your household? Who made up that role?
Funny question. I guess in my household, I would say my elder brothers. Mainly one that my elder brother, his name is Victor, but his nickname was Abacha. If you Nigerians know who Abacha was, it was one of our most brutal dictators. Okay. So he was really tough. They had to nickname him Abacha. And I learned a lot from this man, though, from my elder brother. He was really tough. But looking back now, it was really brutal, bordered on abuse. But I would say that I saw what he was trying to achieve at the time. It was all frustration, man. There was so much energy going around young men, and we had to come add our own burden to them. So, but apart from him, I would say the community as well. As much as I don't believe in the idea that a village trains a child, but I thought the community did act as that role. You have people in the area who knew our situation. They knew that, okay, these guys don't have a father. They used to call us bastards. That's what I thought bastard meant at the time. Yeah. And they used to, that's another story. They used to call us bastards before you had an issue.
We know what Nigerians are like in regards to their use of vocabulary. Sometimes they use certain words.
They used to call us bastards. And I grew up to know that bastards meant you didn't have a father. So it was tough, but still, they will show you love. They will act as your dad, like they want to try to correct you. Not that I was very unruly or my younger was well unruly, because my mom she was this iron lady. She had everything under control. But still, because of the fact that they knew that we didn't have a male figure in the houses of that, they knew our story. So they would still want to act like that. So if, for example, I got frustrated and I was wanting to shout at my mother, they would smack the hell out of you, man. Sorry for my language. They would want to put you in check. But my mom never liked that. She would check them quick. Hey, it's not your son, man. What did they do you? So, there was that community.
Your mom is the opposite to a lot of Nigerian mothers, or she must have been the opposite. But the mere fact of, we all know that whole community bringing up a child, it's that whole, you've gone out there, done something you're not supposed to do. They beat you or do whatever.
They punish you there.
Then your parents
and then you get punished again. That's right.
So it was all of that.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting. But we will come back to Jude and his upbringing, but I'm going to sort of take it one person at a time so that we can have a picture and then we'll come back together. So I'm going to move it on to Tyler. Now, Tyler, your upbringing is of what I would call, I know some will say a mixed family, but I know as times ago we call it sort of a blended family. Do you want to sort of expand on that for us?
Yeah, so mine is, I was born in London, Whitechapel, London Hospital, to my mom. My dad wasn't actually in the country at the time. He was in Nigeria. Where can I start with that?
Tyler is a Nigerian.
Yes, my dad's Nigerian. So I think my dad met me. I was talking to my wife.
People ask him.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about this yesterday, and I can't remember because obviously I was a baby. I need to ask my mum. But anyway, I think my dad met me around when I was 6 months old. I think because he come back to England, and then I think my mum, my dad split up. Their marriage kind of fell apart. And when I was around, I don't know, maybe 1.5, something like that. Okay. And I'm going to be real right here. My dad married my mom for papers. Like, that's it. He came here as part of uni and stuff like that. He's a very educated man, chartered accountant, but in order to stay and whatever back then, he married her for papers. She was a secretary working for him. So anyway, but I'm not hating on him because look, I'm here today, right? And you know, I'm amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day,
Yes, you
That
are.
you
You
are.
are. You are. We need to celebrate that.
so
That you
then
are.
my mom then got a new partner when I was probably around 2-ish, if I remember rightly. So I grew up with my mom and my stepdad, and you know, my stepdad is not perfect, like none of us, but I will always respect him and I'll always love him because essentially he raised me. He was hard, but he raised me, and you know, he was my father figure. You know, my dad's still in my life and we have a good relationship. He's in Nigeria. He's back in Nigeria. But yeah, it's just a bit messy. You know, he had a wife in Nigeria already. You know, so yeah, I can talk about this all day long. So yeah, I grew up with my mom, my stepdad.
You're saying messy, but there are quite a few people. Sorry to cut you short. There are quite a few people that can relate to that, where they will tell you that they have. We can take it back to the whole. When we say, for those that are not or do not understand, that when Tyler mentioned that his dad married his mum for papers, if we all think about immigration and requiring a state to stay in a country, his dad, as he's mentioned, married his mother in order for him to be able to have access to the UK. If I'm right, Tyler.
Yeah.
There's quite a few families. There are quite a few families who that's probably the situation. But then thinking about the whole, okay, he's married to somebody else back home. We all know there's a lot of Nigerian families can put their hand up to say that's the sort of lifestyle or the sort of structure that they have.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to.
Like my dad even took my mum to Nigeria, and then obviously I don't know whether she knew about it or not before. I don't know, but he took her to Nigeria, and then they went to the house where the other wife was, and it was bad. Apparently, my dad's first wife was like going crazy, obviously, because she just brought another woman home, and then it was it's just it blows.
What was his thinking behind that?
He's a Nigerian man, so that.
Hey, don't stereotype us, man.
Okay, so no, back then, sorry, not
back then. Don't stereotype us.
Listen,
stereotype
away, Joe.
I was joking.
I won't stereotype you. That's right. That's correct.
I was joking, Tyler.
No, but it's true. I shouldn't do that because not all Nigerian men are like that. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. It was just, that's what it was. You know, he, for whatever reason, he thought he could take her back. I'm guessing it's because and this is, let me just make this clear. I'm never one to point and blame at our parents because I know their time was different from our time. They went through different struggles. I'm not one of these people point. I tried to do different and try to be better, right? So if I put myself in his head, how I can think about it is that by him marrying a British woman, giving him access to the UK and whatnot, he essentially is better in his family at home, right? So if he now brings that British woman here, it's almost in his head, he's probably thinking, hold on a minute, to his first wife, you can't get mad because this is the woman that's going to give us access to
everything that we need.
The key
she lives in the UK now. Like that, his first wife, they're not, obviously she's not with my dad anymore, but she lives in the UK. So
as a result of
for my mum, then maybe she wouldn't be in the UK as well. So it's deep, man. Deep. This is therapy right now.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is.
It is, and I believe one of our viewers has said, "Thank you, Tyler, for opening up."
Always, man. This is what the show's about.
As I said, there are people out there that can relate and will understand.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We'll talk more.
And I'm going to move on to. We will talk. Well, I'm going to move on to G. And G, your structure is one of. Well, I don't know. Do you want to explain it to me? Well, I do know, but did you want to sort of tell our?
So, like, I'm glad Tyler mentioned this being therapy because that's what it's going to feel like. And I'm probably going to end up saying some things I've never said out loud before. And again, is the truth, is my truth, is my life, is how I lived it from my point of view. So I was born in Nigeria. The story I've heard is my parents were not, I think it was some sort of love story. They were very young. I know my mom was about 19, and my dad was maybe 20, 21. And they fell in love. I think there was a train involved. They met on a train, I think, or something like that. It's very hazy. Anyway, they fell in love, they got married, but I'm not sure if somebody in either family objected to the marriage. I don't know. Anyway, they got married and they had me. but I don't think they planned to have me when they had me, if that makes sense. And I won't be, I think, I'm sure I've seen a picture of their traditional wedding and my mom was pregnant. So it could have been a shotgun wedding. As in, it got my daughter pregnant. Oh yeah, Maria.
Yeah, for real.
You must marry.
Yes, that's
Marry my daughter.
what
Yeah,
I
she's
that's
pregnant.
you've drunk the milk. Now buy the cow. That's what I think
Okay.
happened, but I'm not sure. And so this is me doing CSI on my own, on the pictures I find and stuff. And then they had my sister 2 years later, and then I know we moved around. My dad worked mainly in the northern part of Nigeria, and I know my granddad was saying something like he was still at uni when he had me, so he had to get like part-time work and stuff. Even though my granddad was like, "No, you have to do your studies and blah blah blah." And there was a time when my granddad said he went to my dad's uni to check him, and he couldn't find him, and they said, "Oh, he works in so and so's house." So he went to the house, and my dad was there. He's the chef, some sort of chef, like cooking amala and everything. I'm thinking, first when my granddad told me that, I said, that's a lie, because my dad can't even boil rice. He tried to boil rice for them, it was a complete disaster. So I'm thinking, how many years ago was this? Was this when the dinosaurs were still roaming the earth? Anyway, so he had to hustle and, get his kids whatever they needed, as you do, take care of his family. And then I can't remember how old I was when they got divorced. All I remember very hazily was it was very messy, and it was very much a tug of war with us, the kids, in the middle about who was going to get to keep us and things like that. So anyway, so again, we'll delve into that probably later on. And so I moved from, I started boarding school with my sister very young. I think I want to say I was 7, first time I went to boarding school, and it was in the north somewhere. It was in Kaduna, I think. Yeah, we're in boarding school there for a couple of years. And my mom used to take like the night bus from Lagos all the way to Kaduna to see us. I think she used to come like every 2 weekends or something like that. It was,
That would have been
I mean,
a trek.
imagine, yes. So it was one of them overnight things.
Yeah,
But she wanted to do it so that she got there on Saturday morning and she was there till
yeah.
like Sunday night. And then she'd
Mm-hmm.
take the bus back to Lagos and start work on a Monday. That's
Mm-hmm.
how she was like, my kids, my kids, my kids. And then when I was 10, we moved to, I don't know what sort of agreement they came to. We moved to where my dad lived, and we got there. And I remember a few months before we moved there, my dad was like, "Oh, I need you to meet somebody." Obviously, since they got divorced, we used to meet lots of aunties quite regularly. And then there was an auntie in particular.
Tyler said,
There was an
That's a
auntie.
common
I
thing.
remember every time we met whichever auntie it was, my dad, maybe after the auntie's like, "Hello, do you like auntie so and so?" And we'd be like, we were kids, I was what, 8, 9? We'd be like, yeah, and my sister, she was easy. As long as you gave her sweets, she liked you. So, but I was always very skeptical of all these aunties, like, what's going on? And obviously, used to tell my mom. And every time we told my mom about an auntie, she would just laugh her head off and go, yeah, your dad is interviewing for new wives. I went, oh, she goes, but we're not together. So, he has to, move on with his life as she was as well. So I was like, okay. And then so when I was 10, it was a week before I was 10, because I remember I had 2 10th birthdays. I had to have one, because my birthday's on New Year's Day, but I had to have one in Lagos with my mom on Christmas Day because she wanted to do 10th birthday, and then one at my dad's new place in Kwara State in Loring. I didn't know anybody there because I just moved there like 2 days before. And that was when I met this auntie that I was now told to call mummy. So I was like, right, okay. So just like that, I'm in a new town. I'm starting a new school. I'm having a birthday where I don't know anybody. There's an auntie that was clearly pregnant, and it was all, and I was 10. So I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, so that's where we lived, because my mom said to us, this is where you're going to live now. And you come to Lagos to see us in holidays or whatever. And then, so that went on for 2 years. And I came to this country when I was 16. Yeah, I was 16 when I came here. My sister came before me. So I came when I was 16, and I've been here ever since. And came here by myself. I came here with some sort of small bag or suitcase. I went straight to boarding school, the same one my sister was at. And I've pretty much been on my own ever since in terms of, yes, my dad was paying for my fees or whatever, but in terms of a relationship with parents, that's why there's therapy.
I was going to get to that because both yourself and Tyler both grew up with a step parent. I know it's that whole, were there any challenges, G? Were there any challenges with
Mate.
having, so in other words, did you sort of get on with your stepmother?
What I forgot to mention in my first intro was I actually lost my mom when I was 11.
Oh, wow.
So I'd been in a new place, new school, new town, new setup, still trying to get to grips with everything. And then my mom passes away.
Oh.
And the way I found out was my dad just turned up at school, and my dad's never come to my school before. So he turned up at school, and I think at that time he was working for the World Bank, some sort of project. So imagine like what do you call them when there's a few cars come in, a convoy of cars roll in, and World Bank.
Yeah.
And then someone steps out and comes into the class, and he was like, "Oh my god, am I going to do that?" I'm thinking, "Oh my god, it's my dad." And then he comes in, and he's like, "We need to go now." And he comes with the principal. Something shit was happening. And he's like, "Oh, we need to go to Lagos now." Basically, we had to go and get to Lagos in time for the burial. So that's how I found out my mom had died.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And so up until then, obviously, when I met my stepmom, she was pregnant. So she's going to work pregnant when we go through. And we didn't have that connection as such because it was her first child. She was quite young as well. So she's now got these 2 kids that she has to suddenly mother as well. Meanwhile, she doesn't really, we don't know each other like that. So, and then with my mom passing and everything, the relationship was not great. I won't lie to you. It wasn't great. And I've said this to my sister before anyway. The only reason I didn't run away from home was because of her. I don't know where I'd be going, but I planned to run. I remember I had some money, some pocket money. You know how they give you pocket money when visitors come and you hide it instead of giving it to your parents? So I used to hide some of them. And I sort of knew how to walk to the garage where you get the bus to Lagos. That's all I knew. I don't know anything about Lagos. I don't know how to get. I knew the address where my cousins lived, which is where my mom lived at the time. I was like, "Great, if I can get there, I'll be fine." And then I think I packed up a bag or something one day. My sister saw the bag, and she's like, "You can't leave. You can't leave me here." I don't think she even remembers this. She's like, "You can't leave me here. You can't leave me here." I was like, "Okay." That's the only reason I didn't run away. Otherwise, I would have left because it was rough. It was we lived in a very affluent neighborhood. My dad was wealthy, but none of that mattered in that house, to me anyway.
Wealth doesn't bring happiness.
Not at all. Yeah. Which explains my relationship with money now, because it's not great.
We've all sort of spoken, I know we've all spoken about the structure of our family in regards to each of us have got a different, our start to life was different. Each of us has had a different start, different upbringing up until our adulthood. We've all had different experiences of what a Nigerian parent is, or even a parent is in general. But there are similarities that we would have between ourselves as well, because there are certain things that we know that every Nigerian parent would say, or every Nigerian parent will do. Okay, as I said, we were, as you put it, we relocated at an earlier age. And one of my memories that I remember from Nigeria was we used to live in Victoria Island, and we used to go to a school. Well, we moved from Victoria Island, and we moved to an area, I can't even remember the name. But I just remember that we had to get to school, and we went to school near the island, Bonnie Camp, Command Children's School. But my mum would always make us late to school. So my mum, as I said, she was a businesswoman. She used to work. This is when we lived in Nigeria. She would be taking her time to get herself ready, purposely making us late and saying to you people, I've got time. You're the ones that don't have. So she's, because it's her, I don't know how to explain it. It was hard to explain because we used to be like, "Come on, mommy, we need to go. Come on, mommy, we need to go." But my mum wanted to look good. So she was like, "I need to make sure I look nice to go. I need to make sure I look nice to get to the office." So the driver would get us to school, but we all know what happens when you're late to school. You're going to a military school. You know what happens.
Yes.
If you're late to school, there are consequences. And the consequences weren't easy. Little things like clearing the ground or bring out your hand, we're going to smack your fingers with a ruler.
Be out in the sun.
We used to be like, oh, mummy, we're the ones that, we're going to suffer. And she'd be like, Kini to me, what's my own? It was that kind of, we used to sort of rush it, but there was different things. Like, I know, like, if you did something wrong, I don't know how many of you have done the whole face the wall, one hand on the floor, one leg, you know, the whole
face the wall. Yeah, we did all of that.
So I'm taking us down the idea of what our parents will do when it comes to disciplining us. Because Jude touched it earlier when he said we grew up with the community sort of being part of bringing us up, but we know that our parents would discipline us if they thought we'd done wrong, because sometimes we are innocent. We know that children aren't always guilty. But I'm going to sort of, do any of you have an experience or anything you want to share, a story that you want to share in regards to disciplining? Anyone?
As the oldest, you just I used to tend to get the blame for whatever it was. Like, if the parents were out, well, my dad was not always around because he traveled a lot for his work. And my stepmom was mostly a stay-at-home mom. So whenever she's gone out, even now, like, I still have that thing, like, if someone's gone, like if my husband's gone out, when he's coming back, you expect the house to be in a pristine manner. So the minute you hear, and you know, when you're growing up, you kind of know the sound of your own, your however many cars you have in the house, you know the sound of the horn when they're around the corner, because they'll start pressing the horn from around the corner. So the gates
start running. You're running to put everything in place.
So you're just running around, making sure everything is tidy. And my siblings then were much younger, and you're putting it up, they're pulling it back down. But it's like, as soon as Momsy walks in like this, and she's like, I just get the blame. Even if I wasn't there, I'll get the blame. I'll get the punishment before I've even said. And there's that thing of, when an adult is talking to you, you don't say anything. You just have to be quiet and listen and look down. So you can defend yourself to say,
isn't it the whole children should be seen but not heard?
And not heard. You can't look at them in the eye. You have to look down. And then before so most of the time, you don't even see the slap coming. You just hear the whack. And I'm like, oh gosh.
Like Mama Ojo does. Yeah.
And then you just wait for it to be over. And then you go off.
No, I'm going to give you I remember there was a day, it was here in London, actually, me and my brother, well, it wasn't even my brother and my sister were having a little dispute, and I was sitting right next to my mum, and I'm sitting there going, fight, 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 fight. All I felt was a big
what?
I was like, hey, she didn't even wait. My mum's hand just went boom to let me just wake up to say, okay, maybe I'll just sit quietly. Our parents, I think, I don't know, they had a way of just being an authority above us. They were very authoritative. Of course, they were parents, so we all thought what
they want you to fear
right.
them, I think. They wanted to instill that fear into you. Like, I don't know why they equated fear with respect. And if you look at most Nigerian people, that's what they'll tell you. Fear equals respect, not just from the parents, but, like, you know, look at people in positions of authority. Do you know who I am?
I think that came with the circumstances. So it's circumstantial. It's where they found themselves. I'm not exonerating them from that. I'm not excusing any of that attitudes, but I thought it's circumstantial. But I think we must, when G was talking about her experience, I just kept quiet because I was really overwhelmed. I almost wanted to start tearing because I was, at the time when I was young, I was anxious and eager to want to go spend some time with my dad, even when I knew he had another wife and 2 other children, but I still wanted to go because he was extremely rich. If the Nigerians know what we call the WAEC, the West African Exams Council or West African Exams Commission, I can't remember. He was a number 2 boss. Here. So he was a number 2 boss in the whole of West Africa. So he must have been some top government thing, you know. And I heard stories how They were traveling everywhere around the world. And yeah, I was a broke kid with my mom. We were hungry. We didn't have food to eat. So all I wanted was to just go spend some weekend with this rich dude who was my father and had some decency about life. Even when my mom said, I will never let you guys go because of the stepmothers. He might poison you guys. You're the first son. Because actually, we're from a royal family. I'm supposed to be a prince. That's what they said. I don't know, but yeah. So
we
all of that.
All Nigerians are princes
Exactly,
and princesses.
exactly. So all of that played. But you just talking about all of your experiences, how you went through all of that. I was eager to want to go. I would receive letters from my dad then. Beautiful writings. I couldn't match that. I was just so proud to see letters from this man with Prince, this, his name. And I'll be like, that's my dad's letter. And I'll keep those letters. And he would say all the big things, all the fanciful words and all of that crap. And this man never turned up. I actually would, the pictures I saw of him, and I saw people look like him, I would run to go hug them. I thought they were my father. It was that bad looking back. But it wasn't all rosy growing up with mom and all of that. But I really wanted to go spend some time with him. So what they did to us, the fear, equating it with respect, it was all circumstantial. It wasn't just because of they wanted to do it. It was at times when the British colonized us and all of that, the military, we had military regime for a long time. It was always about the boots. And I'm not excusing any of that because I suffered a lot, not from my mother, from my elder sibling, and from people who were older than me in the street, and from my school. Look, if I had to look back and I turn Osama bin Laden tomorrow to these guys, I will be justified in doing that and killing everybody who actually whipped me. I'll be very justified in killing every one of them. I'm so sorry, but it was so brutal. It was bad. I bled from people whipping me with koboko for no reason. I bled from people just, I don't know, I don't get it, for just being older than me. So it's really bad. It's more like therapy, like Tyler said. It's messed up. And I tell people, I said, we walk around carrying all of this heaviness around us today as adults, and we wonder why things are so screwed up. Sorry for my language again. We need therapy. We need therapy, serious therapy to go through all of this. I was beaten for just sitting there. You will be bruised. Not by my mother. She was great. My mother, may I so rest in peace, she was an angel. She would never touch us, but she would shout at us. It was typical for her to shout because that was our weapon she could use. That was a weapon. She didn't want to hurt us. So that's why if we came back home and said somebody slapped us, that whole home would be in tatters. She would go there and just fight.
Burn it down.
Yeah, but our weapon was just shout at us, which wasn't really good, but she would shout at us and we would shout back and somebody would just whip you a slap on the back of your head. But I was really brutalized, and looking back, sometimes I cry and I say, why did that guy do that, for Christ's sake? And I just want to find that person and rip their head off their neck because I didn't do you nothing. I was just being curious.
I get those flashbacks as well. But for me, when I get them, I literally, like, maybe I'll smell something or I'd see something and it would take me right back to a situation where, I mean, I've been beaten with a hot boiling kettle. I've been beaten with a hot frying pan. And I'll just think, I don't get angry or anything. It's more like, well, I've got massive PTSD, by the way. But I'll just kind of not laugh, but just give thanks to God that, oh my God, I survived that. Like, oh my God, that actually happened. And then, you have to kind of question your own mind. Okay, did I imagine it? And then I would literally see the whole thing play back in my mind, like a real play, like when you rewind your sky, and I'm like, oh, that actually happened. I was wearing this. It was this time of day. This and this is what happened before. This and this is what happened after. And then after maybe, I don't know, half an hour or so, I put it back to whatever box it came out of in my brain. But randomly, things would just pop. I just have flashbacks. But I never get angry. I'm just amazed at how I'm still alive and I'm not an addict. I don't have a drug problem. I don't have a drinking problem.
That's exactly what I'm saying. How did we do it? But Tyler, what's your experience, Tyler?
How did you survive?
I would say, like, for people like I'm going to say some stuff about myself. Like, we have to actually pat ourselves on the back because, like Jude said, we're carrying such a weight on our shoulders from our past. But to actually not hold on to it and kind of, it's only until I have these conversations or I chat to my wife sometimes, I remember some of the stuff I've been through. And then I think, wow, I've been through that. I'll give you an example. You know, I was living with my dad. So I went from living with my mum to living with my dad in year 6 because he wanted to help me with my SATs because he was an accountant, he loved maths. So then I went back to him. I went to him for a year, and I went back to my mum year 7, year 8. Then year 9, year 10, I went back to my dad. Even that alone, switching schools like that, it's crazy. Imagine it's unstable, right? But my dad, at this particular point, it was me and my 2 older brothers from him that I was living with. And I remember one particular time, he was very strict. We would be allowed to go out to play, but only for, say, like, 5 hours. It was set time. We'd have to get up, do 2 hours of math, go out 5 hours, come back, cook. Because it was only us living with him and no woman in the house. So we did the cooking, the cleaning, everything, right? So on this particular time, we came back late by, say we was like 15 minutes late, but because we were so scared to enter the house because we knew we were going to get beat, we made ourselves later, right? We went in, my eldest brother, he got beat. The middle brother, Femi, he didn't get beat. I don't know why he didn't get beat, but me, I received the worst beating that day. And I remember it clearly to the point where he made us lay down on the floor. He made us lay down on the floor, right?
In London?
This is in London. This is in Edgware, when we lived in Edgware, and he was beating us. And I remember getting up because I tried to run out the door. He punched me, right? He punched me in my face. That's the first time he had done that. He had beat me before, but it's the first time he punched me in my face. I ran to the door, opened the door, went to run out the door. He closed the door on my leg, pulled me back in. It was mad. But the craziness about it was that I told my mum. I remember calling my mum and telling her, but there was no evidence of, like, there was no bruise. There was no, do you know what I mean? It was that deep, man. And it was just when I think about that now, and I think, wow. And even, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, my stepdad beat me as well. And I don't hate him for it. I don't hate my dad for it. I don't hate my stepdad for it. I used to get beat with a belt. I needed discipline because I was being naughty at school and stuff like that, but it was never the way to happen. I was so unstable with moving here, moving there, moving there, that it was like, hold on a minute, I was the child. Like, I shouldn't have been in this unstable environment, and this is why when you was talking about your story earlier, like Jude said, it brought tears on the inside of me, because it all comes down to the family split, the mum and the dad splitting up, all these issues come back to parents splitting up, and it's so sad. I'm not saying parents split up for all different kind of reasons, we know that, but this is why my upbringing has made me so determined to stay with my wife. Me and my wife talk about it all the time, and we got our daughter, we want to have another child, and we're like, we want to be that family that have been together 50, 60 years, all this kind of stuff, because the stability that I see my daughter having now, I want that to be forever. We're a team, and that's my prayer. I pray that we stay together and just make it work. It's too easy these days to walk away, and but at the same time, I don't look back on them and say, you're out of order for leaving my mum, you're out of order, because I know it's a different time. They were going through different struggles. Absolutely. And I think if we as adults constantly hold on to that, what we grew up with, then we're going to pass it on to our children. Something's going to pass down. So it's about breaking, that, cutting that, what we know, It's really deep, man. This topic is not to be, this not to be taken lightly. This is.
I think, Tyler, you touched on something very, very important. You said we were just only being children. We were just children, and that's what breaks me when I go back and think about it. And I'm a bit teary now.
No, let it out, bro. Let it out, man. Let it out, bro.
I don't know how I didn't end up in this when I was talking, but I mean, listen to everyone.
I'm sitting here, and as I said, my upbringing is completely different to all of yours, and I'm moved by all of your upbringing, for the mere fact that you've all come from homes where there's been separation, divorce, getting marrying somebody else, or even being brought up with just one parent, whereas I've had both my parents. The only thing I've had is possibly, not possibly, I had that my mum had us for a year without my dad, but that's just because he was sorting out things before he came to us here. And I have to say, I am moved by each and every single one of you. I know I've heard it before, but to hear it again and to hear it like this, I'm sitting here and it's very hard for me as a host as well, because we want to move on, but I don't want us to move on because I feel that we're sharing. No, I'm not. I'm actually not even trying to make it something that because it's not, as much as we laugh about things as well. It's a topic that I want to say I'm proud of you all as well for the mere fact of how you've dealt with it and you're dealing with it, and how, especially with what Tyler just said, setting that way for your children. I know for those of you at home, we have made it very clear this topic is all about our parents and our upbringing. And we have said that we do need to have another topic, which will be on how our parents have influenced us and how that has influenced how we bring up our own children. So we will have another topic on that. But it's oh, I don't even know. I'm sitting here and I'm just, I don't want to say lost for words, but we talk about, okay, let's talk about you talk about disciplining. I know, Tyler, you mentioned that your step parent will discipline you as well.
Yeah.
How did you take that? How did that, because you have a bond, or you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, that he was the father figure in my life. And I think, it's, if I'm saying at school and I was being naughty or something like that, he would be the disciplinary in my life. So I don't hate him for that. But when I spoke to him, he used to get beat by his uncle. He used to get beat, and I'm talking about the beatings that for no reason kind of beatings. Come home, not just beaten with the curtain, they take out the curtain bit or whatever and whip you, all this kind of stuff. So I think that was his style, that was his upbringing. So naturally it got passed on. So me as a father now, I got beat by my dad, I got beat by my stepdad. My mum didn't ever beat me. But it's like, I've got a daughter now. I prayed I'll never beat her. I can't see myself ever beating her, and I pray I won't. But if I had a son, for example, that thing could be passed on, that, the hand, that because it's a natural thing. But already with my daughter, she's 1.5, and we're already having to start disciplining her now, because she's starting to hit sometimes.
We have to set rules. We have to set boundaries. That needs to be done. We know that. Sorry, continue.
But no, I'm just saying straight away. I'm just trying to just communicate so much more. I mean, my wife's so good at communicating with her, and I am as well. And we're doing stuff now where, like, she's hitting or whatever. Okay, in your high chair, sit outside. For
time
10
out.
seconds, 20 seconds,
Time
something
out.
like that. She doesn't understand it at the minute, but we're trying to just. Discipline is so important, and I fully back it. It's just the whole beating and stuff like that.
It's the extent of discipline.
Yeah.
I think it's the extent of discipline. I recall, I think she might be listening. I know my sister's here, and I just recall my sister went to a secondary school. I remember this was in Nigeria. She went to Federal College, Shagamu Secondary School, can't remember the name, something along those lines. And I remember her coming home, because it was a boarding school, coming home. And I just remember her and my dad chasing her around with a belt. And to me, it was that whole, you have the fear of, if it's not happening to you, but you have the fear as to the life of the child that's happening to. I think the discipline was always, it's a hard one. They never really would think the harm that it could cause to the child. Because it was, I'm disciplining, but not thinking I'm disciplined to the point where I'm injuring this child. I could possibly put this child in a position where, we could put it this way, they could be serious injuries to the point of maybe death. And it's, I look back and I just think, for me, I know I've had times when I've had the belt. I wasn't the best, as Tyler was talking about his life from year 6, age 10, 11, to year 7, year 8. Sometimes I'd say I was the black sheep. So I used to do little things like being late home and things like that. And then I'd be sent outside, got a stick. So you'd go and grab your own stick to be beaten by the stick you go and grab. And it's something that I just said, but it's really difficult. We say that we won't discipline our children the same way, but we know that we need to discipline our children in order for them to go down we don't want them to become wayward or to be, I don't
Spoiled.
want to use the word naughty, but they reach it.
But it's
Spoiled,
about
exactly.
it's about communicating.
But it's just,
it's
I was just about to say that, yes, there's something about just talking to your children.
Yeah.
And I was, sorry, Jude. Jude, are you?
Yeah, I think
I'm
getting myself back, and I think Tyler has mentioned it. It's about communication. It's about love. For you to be able to communicate with your children, you need to love them. I don't shout at my kids. I don't do it. My wife does, and it brings back that flashback. And I say to her all the time, "Don't do it."
All moms shout. All moms shout.
I know that. I know that.
Thing.
I know she's doing a lot. I know she's doing a lot. Imagine if she has to make food for 3 different children and they're asking for 3 different things. And it's the same for me. But maybe it's the best way for her to deal with it. Maybe I internalize all of these things, and because it just brings all of that back. But what I've tried to do, and I know that I've done very well, I'm saying I've done this I hope my kids think that of me, is I've made them my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So we chat like we're buddies, they're watching their movies, and I'm cracking up jokes with them. I'm doing that. I want them to really see me as approachable. You can tell me anything.
Have to be.
If they're playing Corday, if they're playing music from Corday or may so rest in peace, Pop Smoke, Juice WRLD, I know all of those. I have to go learn those lyrics. I do it with them. I want to know who they're listening. I want to know Stormzy. I want to know Pasaleo. I want to know all of this. I am their friends.
Yeah.
I am a friend to this people. I want them to know I'm there. 100. Before you go out to the older outside, see me first as you're older. Talk to me. You're my younger. I'm your older. That's why I think Tyler was trying to say, that you need to be a friend. That's what we lacked. Then back home, it was just so much frustration. Yeah. It was just so. It was too much.
I think back home, children were just looked at as
they were never heard. Nobody would. They were never heard.
They were looked at as, I almost want to say, as things like what's the word? Commodity, not commodity, like something they owned.
Yeah.
So like
a handbag, they all carried it around.
Yeah, it's property. That's what I'm looking for. Like how you say, I have 5 cars. I also have 6 children.
Yeah,
it was just a status thing, and
so ownership.
Ownership. So they feel like, and that whole, hey, I brought you into this world, I can take you out of this world. They're like, no, you don't.
Yeah. That was it.
You're my guardian.
That was
God
it.
sent me here through you, but they never see that, because obviously you can't say anything back, because you probably get killed. And they just felt like they have that right to do with you whatever and however they want. And nothing, in my experience, nothing was talked about. Yeah, nothing was talked about. I mean, like how Tyler said, times you just get beaten and you have absolutely no idea why.
Yeah.
Absolutely no idea. I've been woken up in the middle of the night, beaten, told to go back to sleep, and just heard, next time do it again. I have no, till today, I have no idea what I did. What kind of mental effery is that? But here we are.
D, can I answer this question? I saw you come up in the comments from Izzy saying that were there conflicts between my mother and stepfather?
Your mother and his stepfather.
I think that's a really good question. So if I can quickly, I think, Izzy, if I can remember rightly, this is a long time ago now, but I think there were at times, I can recall maybe my mother maybe being like, oh, leave it or something like that. But because my stepfather was the disciplinary in my life, he was the father figure, I think it was always a case of, but he's being naughty at school, or he's doing this, or he's getting in trouble, or whatever it was, or he got arrested. Therefore that was his way of disciplining, and I think she was maybe just kind of believed that was the right way as well, and therefore kind of didn't say anything. My stepdad had a bit of a hot-head temper, which I then had a hot-head temper, and we will talk about that when we talk about our road rage episode. And again, it's all learned behavior. So I think there was conflicts at times, but then I think it was just a case of like, if I don't beat him, then he's gonna, get in trouble, or he's gonna do this, or he's not gonna learn, he's not gonna hear. Do you know what I mean? If they say, if you don't hear, you have to feel, right? Which is wrong, but it's just what they knew, So.
But Tyler, did that work? Is it because of that you changed? Did they work?
No,
Because
no, it didn't work.
exactly. That's not why I'm who I am.
I still got in
Exactly.
trouble.
Exactly.
I still got suspended from school. I still got arrested by the police. You know, it didn't because at the end of the day, I know there was love, but there wasn't like I can't even describe it. I cannot describe what I'm trying to say.
Do you not think for that generation that was their way of showing love?
Yeah,
I think about
it was in a weird way.
Do they? Because if we think, we say every day, I'm sure you all do, where you tell your children that you love them. Jude, I know you spend time with them so they know that you love them and you care for them. But our parents, they were working, there was so much going on that they were loving us, but their way of showing us is, you've done something wrong, I'm going to discipline you.
That's exactly what I said earlier. It's not just, it wasn't just them. It was the boots of the world, the whole world on their backs that was making them do that. I don't know if it was love for them, because sometimes they really wanted to kill. So I don't know if that was love, but it was a frustration from the external. So it was a frustration from the whole. That's why I said it was circumstantial. But if we're looking at parents weren't just our fathers and our mothers, because as you can see from what we've been saying, what you've been hearing, I didn't have a father in my life. I don't know my father actually. He died when I was trying to reconcile him. I was already just a couple of years ago. He died in some years ago. I can't remember now. And I still went on to the school and do my exam, and I came out. And people were saying, you just lost your dad this morning and you came to do your exams. And like, I don't know this guy. G's just told us. So other people, community were our parents, our teachers and all. Why did they do what they did? Was it love? Was it love that made my teacher beat me black and blue because I was asking questions? Was it love that made the pastor slap your ears and say, because you were asking questions? So I don't know if this is love, but it was circumstantial. It was what they were going through. I'm not excusing them. I'm not trying to say exonerate them of any of this. And I'm not trying to say hate them. I'm not hating them. I'm still trying to understand what happened. Because when I look back, man, I'm so mad, and I cry alone. And I'm like, why the hell did that happen? How many years have I got to live on
questions?
How many years have I got to live on earth? And that part of my life is not an experience that I want to look back on, because it was robbed of me. Everything was robbed of. I got elder cousins who you just mentioned their name and they will beat you black and blue.
The only way Nigerian parents
was that love? Was that love?
Was to, they'll ask you if you've eaten.
I can tell.
They'll remind you they're paying your school fees. That's love.
But my mother,
have you eaten?
But my mother, she was an angel. She never touched us. I said she shouted. That woman would go hungry and feed us and feed other people's children. But I had other people who took that role of what they call discipline, just messed us up. And it was bad. It was bad. And I'm glad and I'm grateful that I turned up the way I turned up. Yeah, try my best to do.
You have to be. That's all you can do.
Exactly. Whether that straightened me up, I can't really tell. There's no link. I can't put a link to it and say what they did to me was what brought me up to this stage. Because I know people who went through all of that same process, and some of them were turned up armed robbers. Some of them are dead now. So I'm like, what gives? What happened? What made me different? Did they really not see what I was? I didn't have any discussion with. I didn't have anybody who sat to discuss with me what you want to become in life. No, nobody ever did that with me.
They told you what you were going to do.
No one even told me what I was going to do. No one even told me. No one ever told me that. What I was going to do. No, I didn't even have that. That's why when you were saying about your own when you was talking about yourself, I was like, wow, at least she had that. I was wishing to have that. You see, no one told me be this or even discuss what I was going to become. Everything I am today. That's why I'm asking, what led to all of this? Because none of that led to this. Or maybe, I don't know. I'm still searching. Yeah. I'm still searching. It's just crazy. It's all messed up, like somebody mentioned it. I can't remember who said it. It's pretty messed up. It is messed up.
Tyler said that. Yeah.
Yeah, Tyler. I'm carrying all of that.
I know Jesus sort of touched on something in regards to, I know, Jude, you said your mum didn't do that with you, where our parents were very much, this is what you're going to be, this is what you're going to do. And it's quite funny because today I was talking to my parents and they were talking about, I know we're not talking about the upbringing of our children, but they were talking about my child. Said, oh yeah, she can go and study medicine. I said, no, not at all. When we were younger, my parents were very much, They wanted a doctor, a lawyer. So there was
Yep.
4 of us. They said 2
The full
doctors, 1
set.
lawyer, and an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Us today, do they have a doctor? Do they have a lawyer? Do they have an engineer? They don't. So I don't know. Tyler, did you have that? Was there a specific career that your parents had in mind for you?
My mum was kind of free to me doing whatever, really. My dad wanted me to be a chartered accountant. It was literally maths every single day, to the point where I hated maths. I only got a C in maths. If it wasn't for my dad, I probably would have got
that's good.
whatever, a F. But yeah, he wanted me to be a chartered accountant. And, you know, even to today, you know, me as an actor, you know, he knows I'm an actor, and he kind of understands that I'm an actor. But it's not
Does
until
he think it's
someone
a hobby?
shows him my picture or shows him this, you know, a little clip of like a TV program or
Yeah,
something. He's
yeah.
like, "Oh, my son is an actor," you know. I think, you know, but again, it's a generational thing, isn't it? So
Yeah. It's
G?
Hmm?
What was your I know your relation, because you moved over, went to boarding school.
Yeah, when I went to boarding school, and I remember doing WIEC, which is like GCSE back home. I failed chemistry and physics, and I got to the school, and I had like 2 days? No, I got about a couple of months before I started. So I started, and then I noticed that I was registered for chemistry, physics, biology. So I was like, hang on. I told my dad already when I was 17 that I don't know, when I was 15, because we had a careers day, that I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want anything to do with medicine. I like biology, but that's about it. And he's like, no, that's what you're gonna do. I said, okay, fine, I'll be an architect because I love technical drawing. He said, no, it's not a real profession. And being 15, I believe Google didn't exist at the time. We didn't even have Ask Jeeves. So I believed him. He said it wasn't a real job. I said, okay, fine. So I came here, it registered me for chemistry, physics, biology. And then I remember I didn't go to the first class. I went straight to see the deputy head. And the lady said to me, obviously, it was a very posh school in Bushy, Watford. She said to me, well, in this country, at 16, you can drop out of school completely. I said, yes, I cannot do that now because I'll be killed.
Mm-hmm.
The only other option is you can change your subjects, because at 16, you can pick what you want to do for A levels. I said, oh, okay. So obviously, because I knew my dad was paying for my school fees, and you know how they dangle that whole financial carrot in front of you every 5 seconds? I was like, okay, I need to pick something that's going to still please him and I can manage. So I changed my subjects to, I think it was maths, because I didn't mind maths anyway. Maths, what was it? Business studies, I think, and theatre studies, because I had to pick something arty apparently if I was going non-science route. So I did, and he didn't notice. And the only reason I could do that was because, luckily for me, I had copies of my WIEC results where it clearly said I had an F in chemistry and an F in physics. So I said to the lady, I don't know what kind of 419 result my dad gave me, but these are my real results with the stamps and everything on it. So that's why she let me change it. But again, because I was 16, I could anyway. I don't think my dad knew I changed my subjects until he got the first report card at the end of the semester. And I had to just say, Dad, as you can see, I've stuck to your 4 main, what do you call them, careers that I must do. So we should be okay. And he just said, okay, fine. That was it. And I mean, I'm still an accountant now, but I'm not enjoying
maths
it.
Came through for you, yeah? What did you get in maths? I
I'm
want to hear
getting out.
I want to hear what chartered accountant got in maths.
I've started getting out. I'm getting out slowly.
No, what did you get in maths? I want to hear.
What was your result in maths?
A-level maths. I got C, because I did statistics and pure math. I got a C, and then I got a C for business studies and economics.
So I could have been an accountant then with my C.
I think an E in Z studies.
You could have been doing Tyler. You could have been doing the
A-levels,
dodgy taxes.
The A levels doesn't really matter. It's the degrees at the degree level that you learn all the accounting. And by the time you get there, you're not using the maths. When people look at me, go, you're an accountant, you know maths. No, you don't need maths to be an accountant.
Wow. So
you could have been doing the offshore taxes for us now, you see.
Oh, but guys, this episode has been really touching. It's been really moving. I guess this is why we call ourselves and we say our name is This Is Us. It's This Is Us, because we try and be as open as possible as we can to our audience, and we try and be as open as possible to you all. We will lay it all out for you. I know today has been a very moving episode where everyone has sort of laid it all out. G has told us about her upbringing with her mum. She told the story of her parents meeting on the train, moving on into her relationship with her stepmother, and also the sort of relationship she had with her dad that moved her over into the UK for her to start her studies and also build her life. I know we'll go into more detail, which we'll have to do in another episode. Tyler has spoken about his mixed, and as I said, I prefer the word blended, but mixed and blended upbringing. But that's Tyler's choice in regards to which word he'll choose for it. And he's spoken about the discipline he had and sort of the relationship he's had with his family. Jude has spoken about how just his life in regards to how it started with his dad, and then uprooting, well, not uprooting, but moving with his mum from age 6, his mum and dad separating, and being brought up with his brothers taking the father figure, and just the discipline that came from the brothers and those around. But his mum just held the house. She held them all together in that sense. It has been an episode where you have got to know, I would say, the panelist. And one thing I would say as the host, as I said earlier, is I am moved and actually very privileged and proud of the 3 that I am on this panel with. My upbringing, I have to say, can't actually touch what any of them have been through. And for them to be able to share that with us and to be able to talk about how they've moved on from that, I know there's still things that still creep up, but we know how to work at it and move and keep moving. We can all see, you can see the product, you can see how they challenged through and have persevered to who they are today. So I have to say, enough respect to all 3 of you. I salute you all. Thank you for listening in, or should I say, I keep getting corrected about that. We're not listening, we're watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching This Is Us. If you haven't subscribed, as I said, hit the subscribe, hit the notification, and please like. We might even have to have a second and a third episode on this, because I think there's still a lot to touch on in regards to our upbringing, let alone how that influences how we bring up our children. So I'll end as we always do, which is This Is Us, and we have arrived.
God bless everyone.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye
night.
all. Have a good night.
We have to do better than our parents, man. Wow. What an episode.